Today I'm going to have a look at the Eyoyo drain camera. It's a 30 metre camera and a 9-inch monitor on it. They're all very much the same. They either have a 20, 30 or 50 metre line, and they have either a 7 or a 9-inch monitor. This is a slightly larger monitor. It has a recording DVR facility. You can press record on just below the monitor, and you can play it back. The quality is pretty poor, I'll give a sample of that, but nevertheless the picture is more than adequate to allow you to see what's down a drain. So here's a close-up. I'm actually using the drain camera to light this. It has LEDs on the end of the camera, and you can see that you can press record here, and you'll now see at the top left that it's recording, and to stop the record, press that again, and we can then go into playback and we can show the last recording just like that, and we're going back through to previous recordings that are on there, and we press play again to exit. You'll see over on the right hand side that there's a micro SD card slot there, and otherwise it's just the normal selection of menus and menu selection buttons. The kit comes with the monitor obviously in a case, which feeds to a battery box which has at the moment 2 out of 5 stars, runs a good number of hours. The connections for power and for video head into the monitor. There's then a connection which goes across into the reel, and the reel comes to the camera, which I can't show very well because it's blinding my camera, but you can see it at the end of the reel here. So I've set this up. I'm just going to hit record. I'm in playback here actually. Let's just exit that. There we are. You can see my glove sitting here. So I'm going to hit record, and I'm just going to do a quick inspection down the drain here. So I'm standing down in the manhole. You'll see my feet here, and I'm going to have to turn because I can't get down very easily into this space, and I'll head down into the drain. Slightly underwater here, and then you can see me coming back out. We've got rain outside, so you'll see there's a flow of water in the bottom here. You can see it's an older cast iron drain here, and I can head along the drain here, and it goes probably about 6 to 10 metres depending on the drain, and then you start to get the thinness of the flexible rod actually starts to hinder you. I'll get hooked up here slightly, and you can't actually go any further, but I'll get jammed in something here. Just past it. It's quite a lot of rubbish in this. It's a storm drain, but overall not too bad. That's about halfway along, so I'll come on from the other end. I'm not really aiming to show very much about this. I'm getting hooked up in the cable here, but just to give you an idea of the quality and what you're able to see. You also have the ability, if I push into a point where I can look up a wee bit, let's just see. You'll be able to see that I can use the dimmer to brighten and dim a wee bit. It doesn't work terribly well because of course the camera adjusts to match, but what it does do is let you darken when you're very close to things. So if, for example, there was a piece of something I passed a short time ago, where is it? Let's see, we'll find something, I'm pretty sure. Oh, where is it? So there we are. Say I wanted to see, I think that's a leaf. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see if we can find something. There we are, there's something. You'll see if I wanted to look at that when I'm very close to it, it's overexposing. But if I bring the brightness down, I can get a wee bit of control over what I see. Even just by dipping and letting the camera adjust, I can start to get some detail in what I'm looking at. It's not brilliant, but it just gives a wee bit of control. You can certainly see details of what's in there and get a very good idea of whether the drain is clear or not. I'll just pull right out of here. Over there. And last wee bit. That's it. So that gives you an idea of the capabilities of the camera. It can go a reasonable distance into the drain on its own. If you need it to go further, what I have done is connected the camera to or taped it to rods just for straight runs. I wouldn't suggest that's a brilliant idea if you can avoid it, because obviously the rods, if you shove them too hard, could damage the rather lightweight fiberglass rod that makes up the cable for the camera. That said, I've done it on straight runs, and if you're careful, it's a perfectly acceptable way of doing it. The camera is a lot cheaper than your Ridgid or I can't think of any other major brand names, but there's a handful of major brand names which are maybe £2,000 and £3,000, some of them, and the rest sometimes. This is around £300 and something. It gives a good balance. It allows me to see what I need to do, and helps in certain circumstances. So next up, I'm going to show you some footage which was from a piece of cast iron pipe which had dropped down and become lodged just round the corner at the bottom of a downpipe. It was approximately 1 metre down or so to the 90-degree bend, and the cast iron had dropped down to the bottom of that and gone round. I initially found it with the Seesnake, and I shouldn't say Seesnake because it's not Seesnake, the Eyoyo drain camera, and I then used the drain camera in order to see what I was doing and figure out a way to get the piece of cast iron out. I'll show some of the footage just in probably the bottom corner here from doing that. What I actually did was I managed to get a piece of cable, electrical cable, 1.5 or 2.5 mil, I can't remember, and put a small loop in it to create almost a noose. I managed to get that past the bottom of the piece of cast iron, and then twisted and turned a wee bit, watching it on the drain camera, and managed to hook the very bottom of that. That allowed me to pull the piece of cast iron pipe back. Once I got it to the corner, I used a drain rod with a screw end, which is normally used for pushing in and screwing in and pulling something back. But I managed to use it to hook the piece of cast iron a bit. Once I got it vertically up the pipe, I then managed to use a set of litter pickers which have a grab mechanism, and that allowed me to grab it and pull it up a bit more, using the piece of wire at the same time in order to pull it up, because litter pickers wouldn't have had the strength and grip to be able to hold that weight of cast iron. Once I got it within a few inches of the top, it started to jam, but luckily I was able to get my hand down the drain just far enough to be able to catch it and then inveigle it up by hand and using the piece of wire at the same time. So you should have seen footage somewhere at the bottom right here that will show how that was done, or some degree of that. I won't have the very last bit because I had to get the camera out of the way in order to get my arm down, but that should give you a taste of the sort of jobs that you can do with a drain camera. There would be absolutely no chance of putting a piece of wire down and trying to hook a piece of cast iron if you weren't watching it with a drain camera. It would be virtually impossible. The odds of actually hooking something, you could spend the whole day trying to hook something and just missing it constantly. Whereas watching it on the drain camera, you can, perfectly position things in order to be able to catch things and pull them back along the pipe. Another fantastic example would be if somebody's turned drain rods the wrong way, anti-clockwise, and left them down the drain. In a lot of cases that has previously resulted in people having to dig up drains or dig up sections of drains in order to retrieve the rods. But if you're able to watch exactly what you're doing, you could run a rod past and hook a bailey hook or whatever round over the other rod and pull the rods back. It might be that causes issues because you're around a corner or something and you can't get enough pressure to pull it back. There will always be a time when you have to deal with the problem of digging up a drain, but certainly this machine allows you to inspect and get a good indication of what's actually going on, and perhaps save yourself an awful lot of effort in terms of a dig up. So I hope that's given you a good indication into the Eyoyo drain camera. If anyone's got any questions, please leave them down below. Feel free to subscribe, and hopefully I can bring you some more interesting videos shortly.